The stab wounds exceeded 30, and a strange mark in the shape of an X on his neck. The investigations at first pointed to a ritualistic nature, but soon clearer threads appeared. Raids revealed swords, knives, books on human sacrifice, and black cloaks. But with continued interrogation, it became clear that what happened was not a mysterious ritual, but a deadly game that turned into a real crime. The incident that shocked public opinion was in Virginia. The murder of a prominent scientist in microbiology and DNA, Dr. Robert Schwartz, 57 years old, spent more than 15 years working on DNA research at the Center for Innovative Technology in Herndon. The man whose discovery of DNA helped solve crimes became himself a victim of a brutal murder. Monday, December 10, 2001, Schwartz did not arrive at work. His colleagues called his neighbor to check on him. He was living alone after the death of his wife and was known for his punctuality. The neighbor entered his country house near Hamilton, 40 miles from Washington, to find the body stretched out on the ground. Neighbors noticed the presence of 3 teenagers, 2 young men, and a girl at the Schwartz farm at the time of the crime. Their car got stuck in the mud and they had to call a tow truck, which made their data available to the police a few days later. The 3 were arrested: Kyle Holbert, 18 years old, Michael Fowle, 21 years old, and Catherine Inglis, 19 years old. Police interrogated his daughter, Clara Schwartz, on December 12th. She said she did not expect Holbert to commit the crime, but she admitted that deep down she knew he might do it. She was initially released, but the investigators did not forget her. She did not tell them that Holbert confessed to her on December 9th to killing her father. She also hid the details of the role-playing game that brought them together. Catherine Inglis recounted what happened. She and Michael Fowle dropped Holbert off at Schwartz's house on the evening of December 8th. The car got stuck in the mud, so they waited for his return. He returned carrying a blood-stained sword. She wrote, "I wished he hadn't died, but deep inside I knew the truth." The 3 discussed a plan to escape. They agreed to say that they had only gone to get something for Clara and had not found anyone. And on the morning the body was discovered, Clara told them that the police had obtained their data and that she had been interrogated. Inglis said at the conclusion of her testimony that she wished she had turned Holbert over to the police and continued her life with Michael as if nothing had happened, but she did not realize the seriousness of what she had done. On February 1st, 2002, Clara Jane Schwartz, 21 years old, was arrested at her dormitory at James Madison University and was charged with conspiracy to murder her father. Documents indicated that she had helped plan the crime, but her grandfather denied that Clara appeared before the investigative judge in Loudoun County, then was transferred to the Adult Detention Center until her trial. According to the Washington Post, some saw her as rebellious and depressed, wearing dark clothes and listening to loud music, and surrounding herself with those she described as strangers. She lived in a single room inside an old hotel converted into a student dormitory behind a gas station. Her grandfather said that her attraction to that circle began after her mother's death from cancer, 4 years earlier. Other relatives confirmed that she had distanced herself from the family, despite her father's attempts to help her. After the crime, she hired a lawyer, but he later withdrew. At the time of her arrest, no clear motives were announced, while relatives described her father as a loving father. But Catherine Inglis told the police that Clara said her father had tried to poison her 11 times. The family denied it, and the police did not find any evidence or previous report. Inglis explained that Kyle Holbert entered the house alone, hiding a 27-inch sword, while she and Michael Fowle waited in the car, and she said that he thought he was doing something good for Clara, even though he barely knew her. Holbert had a long history with mental disorders. He was examined for paranoid schizophrenia, hyperactivity, and bipolar disorder. His family could not deal with him, so he moved between treatment institutions. He was also obsessed with role-playing games and pictures of vampires. He later wrote a 7-page confession, published by the writer Sandra London. She indicated that he spoke of turning into another person, which may indicate dissociative identity disorder, although there was no official diagnosis. In his confession before a judge in December, he said that he alone was responsible for killing Schwartz and that it was not pre-planned. He denied that Inglis or Fowl were aware. He explained that after the crime he called Clara to tell her that he had completed the task. He justified his action by his belief that Schwartz was poisoning his daughter. He said that Clara gave him a piece of pork and told him it was poisoned. He wrote, "I tasted the meat. It was different. I realized it had been tampered with." He said he only met Schwartz 3 times but felt his hatred, and when he learned that the family would travel to one of the islands, he imagined that he would kill his daughter there. He also claimed that he saw him screaming at her until she cried, and he could not bear that. One of the newspapers mentioned that he claimed he was a vampire, hearing voices ordering him to kill for a just cause. Clara became his main motive. He saw pork and lemons as evidence of poisoning, and his plan was to blame demons that ordered him to kill to divert suspicion from her. On December 8th, Hulbert knocked on the door of Schwartz's house. He asked him about Clara, and when he learned that she was not there, he asked for her number. Schwartz let him in. After he used the bathroom, he followed him to the dining room where he accused him of mistreating his daughter. He said that he saw guilt in his eyes and considered it a confession. He added that Schwartz smiled and then hit him, injuring him above his eye. And that was the moment of the attack. He began stabbing with the sword. Schwartz knelt on his knees trying to resist. Hulbert said he heard an inner voice laughing at a foolish man holding the blade of his attacker. He continued to stab until he fell, and he recounted that Schwartz, while bleeding, asked him, "What did I do to you?" Before he delivered the final stab, he wrote, "When I returned to consciousness, I was pulling the sword from his back." After that, he washed the weapon, turned off the lights, and left. He said that an inner voice ordered him to leave because the victim's soul had left the body. He concluded his confession by saying that he had saved Clara, signed with the name Demon, and wrote an apology to her family. But his lawyer and father said that his confessions were unreliable because of his mental illness. His father added that he treated the incident as if it were part of the game, and that he had stopped taking his medications a few days earlier due to financial problems. On February 5, 2002, Clara appeared before the court. Her siblings attended the session in shock and sadness. In a low voice, she requested the appointment of a lawyer for her defense against the charge of first-degree murder. Her arrest was the result of a 2-month investigation. The police analyzed emails and conversations between her and her friends, full of coded references which she kept in a file named The People of the Underworld. The investigation revealed that she said her father had tried to poison her and that her life would be better without him, and when she talked about murder, she used the word "tay" and referred to her father as the old man. In March 2002, she was charged with 3 crimes: first-degree murder, conspiracy to murder, and incitement to murder. Some of these charges were based on previous attempts to find someone to carry out the crime. Her lawyers argued that it was legally impossible to form a conspiracy with a mentally ill person like Hulbert, but the prosecution saw the opposite. As for the other 3 defendants, they were also tried on charges of murder and conspiracy, with the exception of Catherine Inglis, who received a reduced deal in exchange for her testimony. According to the Washington Post, Clara had been looking for months for someone to kill her father. In October 2001, she met Kyle Hulbert at a festival in Maryland and convinced him that she was a damsel in distress who needed someone to save her. The relationship developed quickly, and he said in his confession that he felt a protective bond towards her, similar to a brother's protection for his sister. On the night before the crime, she sent him a check for $60 via urgent delivery to buy fuel, gloves, a head cover, and pieces of cloth to hide evidence, in addition to a prepaid phone card to call her without his number being known. Before the trial, another young man named Patrick House, 21 years old, testified. He said that Clara had also asked him to kill her father. He used to share the underworld game with her, in which she played the role of Lord Chaos, while he played the role of the hired killer. In the game, she called her father the evil old man and asked to kill him, but he withdrew when he realized she was serious. October 2002. 10 months after the crime, the trial began. Clara attended in modest clothes, prosecutor Jennifer Wexton said in the opening of the session. Clara did not stop at hatred, but asked more than one person to kill her father. She knew what she was doing. The prosecution presented written confessions from Patrick House, in addition to a document found in Clara's room dated December 8th, thanking her partners in a coded language. The defense tried to challenge his credibility and presented him as a person immersed in delusions under interrogation. He admitted that he believed in the existence of dragons and that he used to cast spells to protect himself from the magic of others. The defense also called psychologist Kathleen Oakes to confirm that Holbert may have misunderstood Clara's intentions due to his mental problems, but the prosecution presented another witness, a close friend of Clara's, who said she had repeatedly heard her wish for her father's death. Inglis also testified that she heard Clara describe his abuse of her with anger. On October 15, 2002, after a week of sessions and only 4 hours of deliberations, the verdict was issued. The conviction of Clara Schwartz for first-degree murder. The prosecution demanded a harsh sentence. The defense tried to mitigate it based on abuse claims, but the final recommendation was imprisonment for 48 years. Judge Thomas Horn issued the sentence in February 2003. 48 years in prison. He explained that Clara would be released at the age of 68, or at 61 if she received a reduction. He told her in a paternal tone, "You are responsible for your actions." The journalist Heather Greenfield wrote that Clara showed no emotion as she left the hall and did not even look at her relatives, some of whom testified against her. In December, Michael Fowle pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. He said that he helped transport Holbert to Schwartz's house and expressed his shame for his role. He was facing a sentence of up to 21 years and 4 months. In a written confession, he said that he knew Holbert's intention but did not want to be an accomplice, and described his involvement as a big mistake, and wrote an apology in which he asked Robert Schwartz for a sign that he is okay. As for Catherine Inglis, she received a reduced deal in exchange for her testimony and remained facing secondary charges. Kyle Holbert was charged with first-degree murder. Many expected him to defend himself with an insanity plea, but his lawyers did not present it. Due to the presence of evidence of premeditation and his detailed confessions, his trial was scheduled to begin on March 17, 2003, but he surprised everyone a few days before that. On March 10th, in a session that did not exceed 15 minutes, he announced before the judge, "I am a killer." He said that he chose to confess instead of going through the trial. He showed regret for what he had done, and greater regret for having met Clara Schwartz, confirming that she manipulated him and pushed him to commit the crime. In a statement quoted from the Washington Post, Holbert said, "I allowed myself to be poisoned. Not a day goes by that I don't think about what I did." The psychiatrist Howard Glick testified that Holbert invented imaginary friends like vampires and dragons to feel that he had a family. He explained that his connection with Clara was strong because she felt like him, that she was a stranger to others. Judge Thomas Horn acknowledged the difficulty of Holbert's life, moving between mental institutions and foster families, but he said to him, as he had said to Clara, "You are responsible for your actions." The sentence was clear. Life imprisonment without parole, in addition to another 10 years for the conspiracy charge. The last of the trials was for Catherine Inglis. The investigations did not find evidence of her direct participation, except for her helping in the cover-up after the crime occurred. On November 14, 2003, the sentence against her was issued, only 12 months behind bars. And with this, the case of the murder of Robert Schwartz ended. A crime that began as an imaginary game and ended in a real tragedy that destroyed the lives of an entire family. Every case leaves behind more than just evidence. It leaves questions. Some will never be answered, but we'll keep looking. This was Crimes Cams. More cases, more questions, more truth coming soon. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.